Josh Allen's MVP would be like Charles Barkley's MVP.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, because I think right now what
yeah.
happens with people like Patrick Mahomes, with people like Lamar Jackson, is we get fatigued, and I think the voters get fatigued, and what happens is the MVP becomes a narrative-driven award, right? Every time you see the numbers put up on the screen, you can clearly look at those numbers and say that guy is having a better season than Josh Allen, although Josh Allen is having a great season.
Yes. Better than expected.
Josh Allen is having an MVP caliber season, but you win an MVP because you're better than everybody else.
Yes.
Right now, Josh Allen's not playing the quarterback position better than Lamar Jackson is. But it's going to be, well, Lamar Jackson has 2. Patrick Mahomes has 2. What is the other quarterback we count on that tier that's never won one?
Absolutely.
Josh Allen.
It's like giving Karl Malone, right, the MVP, because you could have given it to Jordan every single year, but people get tired of giving it to him.
Then we need to create a crusade to fight sports apathy. Fight performance, sports performance apathy.
Good
because
luck.
what?
I mean, listen, Steve Nash got 2 of them things. You know that. Right?
Yeah.
And so, but that's the point. It's the narrative, right? With Steve Nash got the first one. He was coming from Dallas, right? And he goes to the Phoenix Suns. They're winning, and he's playing well, averaging a double-double, and everybody says, okay, give it to him, when Kobe was clearly the best player in basketball. And so I think sometimes you have that narrative. Coming into this season, the narrative was what? Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills wouldn't be contenders because he didn't have the skilled players around him.
Correct.
Now that he has elevated them, now that he has played well, we're looking at his statistics. We're looking at the fact that this team's in the fight for the playoffs and the number 2 seed, and you're going to say, okay, Josh Allen must have did all of these things. But stack the numbers up.
Yeah. There go the numbers.
When you stack the numbers up now, and we also have to remember when we're talking about rushing touchdowns, the Buffalo Bills have adopted the tush push.
Right.
Right? So those numbers are going to be different. And I know what's going to happen. Everybody in Bills Mafia is going to be pissed off and say that I don't think Josh should be the MVP. I think Josh has had the MVP caliber season, but he hasn't played better than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Big JTV, man. It's been a minute. Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates. Happy holidays. As we go into 2025, we're going to have some fun in here. We're going to talk. We're going to have fun. I'm going to expand the content. Some big announcements coming up. If you're new here, like, comment, subscribe, man. Best way to support your boy, to support me, my movement, and what I'm doing. Appreciate you. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Ryan Clark's statement that Josh Allen's MVP will be like Charles Barkley's MVP. Now, look. I've made my feelings known about Ryan Clark. I don't think he's a great analyst. I think that more times than not, he makes the conversation less about the individual athlete, but very racial, right? And of course, you can actually bring up the racial conversation, black versus white in sports, especially football. But instead of doing it in a bridge type of way, sometimes he makes it divisive. And when I say divisive, on the other side, there's guys like Clay Travis from Outkick who also make racial conversations divisive. Idiots like Jason Fatlock, the fat bastard Jason Whitlock, who also make racial conversations more divisive. All right? So Ryan Clark is just the other side of those extremes, right? Now, I'm not going to lie and pretend like this conversation about Josh Allen versus Lamar hasn't become racial, because it has. It's not even just became racial, it's become fan base based, meaning you have, Buffalo Bills fans who are deriding and riding heavily for Josh Allen's MVP. And me, I'll say it, as a Ravens fan, you have a ton of Ravens fans going buck wild at everybody who doesn't say that Lamar is a unanimous MVP and everything like that. Y'all already know me. Y'all know my bias. I'm a Ravens fan. I want Lamar to win. But would I be mad or surprised if Josh Allen wins? Not at all. Because in sports, there's MVPs that could go to one player every single year. But then sometimes the voters have to pick a narrative to pick somebody else because they have voter fatigue. A few years ago, you know what I mean? Derrick Rose won an MVP when LeBron James was in his uber prime. And even closer to that, Joel Embiid won an MVP when Jokic deserved it, and Jokic would have been a 4-time MVP. Same thing right now. Lamar Jackson is statistically having his greatest season as a quarterback, but the MVP is most likely going to go to Josh Allen because the voters are tired of voting for Lamar all the time. Is Lamar the best player in football? Obviously, yes. But, the voters are going to side with Josh Allen because Josh Allen was not supposed to be this good this season without the number one Hall of Fame weapon, which is Stephon Diggs. Now, what happened after this is that Ryan Clark has been getting a lot of hate from, super conservative grifters claiming that he is a race baiter and he's all about just the narrative and he's a racist against white folks. It's just funny, man. I lean more conservative. I'm more right-wing than left, you know what I mean? But I just hate when the conservatives try to be victims. The white boys try to now all of a sudden be victims. Like, what? It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what are you talking about? Josh Allen has not been winning MVPs because he throws a ton of interceptions. Josh Allen, based on just his skill set alone, should be always in the MVP conversation. There's nothing wrong with him as a quarterback, and he's actually a very good person from what we see publicly, right? It's just when the conversation gets racial from not Josh Allen himself, but the grifting right-wing super fan / dweebs and nerds, they make him and his fan base unappealing, man. And they're always the loudest voices. Same thing with when Ryan Clark brings up the fact that Lamar Jackson is the first authentically black quarterback. That is so stupid. And it's so ignorant, I can't even explain it, man. Actually, I can explain it. That's why y'all here. Like the video if you made it this far. It is so ignorant because you're saying a ton of black quarterbacks, right, who have won Super Bowls, who have currently are competing and have won MVPs in the past are not authentically black. You're saying Mahomes is not authentically black. Doug Williams was not authentically black. Russell Wilson was not authentically black. You're saying that these people are not authentically black. That's insulting. Now, is Patrick Mahomes a light-skinned mixed race man who barely identifies with his black side and identifies more with his Caucasian side? Yes. But guess what? At the end of the day, he is perceived as a black individual in most of life in society. He's not perceived as a white man, right? And so when Ryan Clark comes up with these, narratives on ESPN and especially First Take, it's cringy, man. We're not here to talk about social, political, psychological points of views. No, we're here to talk about the play on the field. And sports is one of the few places where the socio-political, psychological, all those type of ology things are put to the side and you're looking at an individual's performance, right? The numbers, you know what I mean? What they do for their team rather than who they are in their skin. That's why the locker room in the football, in the football context is so amazing and precious because everybody in the locker room was worried about that single goal, which is getting a dub. You don't care if it's a redneck. You don't care if they black, they white, they yellow, they green. Are we going to get to the dub? And when you infuse a lot of racial conversations within the context of sports, right? You take away one of the main metrics, main appeals of sports, which is entertainment, a distraction from some of the harsher, worst parts of humanity, right? So I say this to say that this debate between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, it's gotten racial extremely fast. That's good for the ratings, though. but it's bad for society, and that's what I don't like to see, man. Get in the comments, let me know what y'all think. Doing a podcast with Uncle tomorrow morning about it. Big J TV, y'all agree with Ryan Clark or not? Get in the comments. I'm out.